Chiayi is no longer the city of wind and sunshine. Today, it is a battlefield filled with water, shattered steel, voices crying for help, and a sky that won't stop roaring. A monstrous super typhoon named Danas slammed into Taiwan's southwest coast at 11:40 p.m. on July 6, 2025, with maximum winds reaching 180 kilometers per hour, strong enough to lift a small car off the ground, and powerful enough to plunge over 85,000 households into darkness within minutes. But Danas was not just a storm. It was nature's ruthless test of our disaster, readiness, and human resilience. Drone footage and security cameras revealed scenes no one in Taiwan ever wanted to witness. Seawater pouring into city streets, fishing boats thrown onto sidewalks like toys, trees ripped out of the ground, cars flipped like tin cans, bustling roads were reduced to black canals filled with wreckage. Welcome to natural destruction, where we do not just report the news, we sound the alarm. Today, we will take you along the trail of Typhoon Danas, from the first gusts of wind in coastal Puzih to the life or death struggle of thousands trapped in floodwaters, and finally, to the urgent lessons modern cities must learn in an era of extreme climate. This is not just a report, it is a wake-up call for all of us. Good evening. This is a special weather report from Natural Destruction. What happened on the night of July 6th was not unexpected. The numbers had warned us in advance. The only problem, no one believed it would strike this hard, sweeping along Taiwan's southwest coast with a path so dangerous it felt suffocating. Let us begin with the meteorological details. Landfall location, Puzih Coast, Chiayi County. Coordinates 23.4 degrees north, 120.2 degrees east. Storm name, Danas. Maximum, sustained winds, 144 kilometers per hour. Gusts reaching 180 kilometers per hour. Central pressure, 965 hectopascals. Rainfall, 500 to 700 millimeters in less than 24 hours. This typhoon did not move inland like most others. Instead, it skirted along the western coastline, a region less fortified against major storms. Its trajectory was rare, but not unpredictable. The Central Weather Administration of Taiwan and China's National Meteorological Center had both issued yellow-level alerts. This is equivalent to level 3 in the 4-tier emergency warning system. But the real question is, did those warnings actually reach the people in time? When the eye of the storm hit land at exactly 11:40 p.m., violent cyclonic winds tore through everything in their path. Puzih's coastal road was swallowed by the sea within just 8 minutes. The wind howled like a jet engine. One eyewitness described it as a freight train crashing into your house without brakes. What was more alarming was the sharp drop in atmospheric pressure. This caused seawater to surge up through storm drains. Even neighborhoods thought to be elevated were soon submerged waist deep. Within 6 hours, nearly 2,000 hectares of farmland and industrial zones in Yongkang, Puzih, and Ehu had turned into an inland sea. According to Taiwan's weather radar system, rainfall totals were recorded as follows. Puzih Township, 530 millimeters, Tainan City, 480 millimeters. Minong, 600 millimeters, the highest on the island Alishan National Forest. Landslides occurred at 3:25 a.m., confirmed by a mountaintop monitoring station. Here's why Danas moved slowly, only 10 to 15 kilometers per hour. That meant rain clouds stayed over one area for too long, releasing extreme amounts of water in a short period. On top of that, the unique terrain between ocean and mountains in southwestern Taiwan created a strong convective effect. This trapped moisture in thick cloud banks that refused to dissipate. It became the #1 reason behind flash floods and landslides in the mountain ranges behind Chiayi. Meanwhile, the emergency flood alert systems in districts like Ehu and Donggu failed to function properly. Some residents said they received no warning messages. Others said the village speaker systems were cut off due to power outages. Because of this, hundreds of people did not evacuate in time. Water started rising around 2 a.m., catching them completely off guard. Zheng Wenyi, a retired meteorological engineer from Chiayi, said in an interview, "I have never seen a storm behave like Danas. It was too smart, too unpredictable, and our systems are far too vulnerable." Super Typhoon Danas was not just a powerful storm. It was a full-scale stress test for our forecasting systems, infrastructure, and public awareness. Wind can be measured, rain can be predicted. But how people react in a disaster, That can never be programmed. Puzih Township, where the storm knocked first. At exactly 11:35 p.m., Chen Huilan, 67 years old, was still reading by candlelight in her small home near the Puzih coast. The radio was silent, power was out, and her phone signal was flickering. She later described the moment in a live stream, replayed the next morning. I heard a sound like 100 drums beating all at once. The glass shook, then boom, the metal roof flew off like paper. Before I could even stand up, seawater was rushing across the floor. With only a flashlight in hand, she climbed to the second floor. Within 15 minutes, the entire first floor was underwater. Floating furniture drifted aimlessly, like a bad dream. But her story was not unique. Tainan, when wind became a weapon. In a narrow alley in Yongkang district, Wang Minghao, his wife, and their 2 young children had prepared for the storm. But no one expected wind. That powerful security footage from inside their home shows the front door blown open at 11:48 p.m. In the video, Wang uses his body to block the entrance. His wife clutches their children under the table, crying, calling 119. Hoping someone would answer, they survived, but only the steel frame of their home remained. Everything else was destroyed or washed away. Minong Township, desperation on the roof. The most shared image on Taiwanese social media the next morning came from a hobby drone. A man around 70 years old stood alone on the roof of a house nearly submerged to the second floor windows. He waved a white shirt tied to a stick, signaling for help. Locals recognized him as Lin Yongsheng, owner of a small auto repair shop along Route 118. When rescuers arrived, he refused to leave right away. He said, "My dog is still down there, he's shaking in the storage room, I can't leave him behind." Firefighters later returned and saved them both. Alishan, rocks and thunder from deep within. In the famous Alishan Mountains, once a tranquil tourist retreat, that night became a waking nightmare. At a rest stop along the old forest railway, 5 tourists were trapped by landslides that blocked both roads. One of them, a young woman named Yu Xuan, made a video call to her mother before the signal cut off. "If I can't make it home, don't worry, I'll stay warm. I love you, Mom." They were found 14 hours later, exhausted but alive. Ancient cypress trees had collapsed across the tracks, and emergency speaker systems were crushed by falling debris. No one knew they had survived until an independent search team heard faint voices from the rocks, Puzih City, the silent flood from underground. In Puzih, a city not even near the coast, people thought they were safe, but they didn't expect the basin effect to trap floodwater. At 3 a.m., the Puzih River overflowed without warning. No sound, no sirens, just the sudden burst of doors giving way to black water. Chen Chiayi, 28, shared his story. "I woke up with water up to my waist. I grabbed my mother. She's paralyzed on one side. I tied her to a swim float with cloth straps, and we drifted 300 meters before a rescue boat found us." Moments of life and death, and what we must learn. These stories are not fiction. They're not part of a movie. They are real, and they happened within just 12 hours. If you think this could only happen in Taiwan, you are wrong. With rising seas, unpredictable storms, and warming oceans, any coastal city from Vietnam to the Philippines, from Florida to Tokyo, could be the next Chiayi. So what will you do when the next storm comes? Do you know how to protect yourself? When there's no signal? When the water starts rising in the middle of the night? Have you taught your children that a typhoon is more than just wind and rain? If not, stay with us in the next chapter, where we'll show how an entire society responded from government to citizen, and what actions truly mean the difference between life and death. You can't stop the wind, but you can build walls. You can't stop the storm, but you can learn to survive it. And most importantly, you can prepare before it's too late. The hard lessons from Typhoon Danas. Urban infrastructure must be redesigned for an age of extreme weather. Disaster education must be mandatory in schools and communities. Early warnings must use every available channel: phones, radios, local speakers, volunteers. Emergency response funds must include food, medical, and trained human resources, not just money. Every family should have a survival kit and a flood escape plan. If you're watching this from a safe place, cherish it. If you live near the sea, a river, or a mountain, ask yourself, if the storm comes tonight, will I survive? Share this video. Raise awareness and subscribe to Natural Destruction, where we don't just report on disasters, we help you prepare for them.